My name is Gideon.
Are you familiar with the city's plans to build a citywide wireless internet system?
Yes, I am.
Where do you get your news?
Um, I get my news from a variety of sources, I guess. I watch the local news occasionally, but I probably get more news about local information regarding community things from organizations I belong to or from listservs, emails that come to me.
How would you describe the internet?
The internet is an ever-changing electronic tool.
How is technology integrated in your daily life?
Uh, it's every hour of every day for me. I mean, when I think of the internet and technology, I probably check my email several times a day. Technology, though, is a really broad phrase. So, you know, technology is everything. I mean, technology is your microwave and it's your elevator. So it's your television. It's all parts of your day.
How do you use the internet? Is there any way in which you use the internet that you think would be interesting to other people that they wouldn't be aware of that's possible, or that you're using the internet for?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
In your use of the internet, are there ways which probably most people would not be aware that this is even possible, or would be surprised that you're using it for these purposes?
Oh, for ways I'm using it, or for other people using it, I would first say for telephone usage is for what other people are using it for. I think a lot of people would be surprised. The free phone calls being made just over the internet. But for what I'm doing is, well, it could be social life. I would say one of the things that would surprise people is that I find people with similar interests to me through the internet. And then we meet up once a month and talk or pursue these interests. And I think a lot of people, when I tell them about this, they're very excited because I think they think the internet is just where you never actually meet people. And I think this is what people actually are hoping the internet would be more for, and that is to be a tool to create more interpersonal relationships.
How is your use of the internet different from other members of your family?
Well, my use of the internet is, it's funny, my mother is 77 years old, my father is 80, and my mother uses email all the time. She uses actually web TV on a giant 40-inch digital screen TV. So with their vision not as good as it used to be, it actually is wonderful for them. So surprisingly, email is not that different between me and other members of my family, including my parents. But I would say my use is definitely more for socializing. And like I said before, just getting together with other people, using the internet for that, or as a single man, dating. But also, I guess I also use it probably more for commerce online, for purchasing things, than probably other family members.
How could the media do a better job?
The media, it's its own animal. I mean, it's, what do they call it? The fourth estate. The fourth state. I can't remember, but you look at media from 50 years ago, and it's very different from media now. And you look at media from 100 years ago, and it's very different. So, it does change. I mean, to say how could it
Do a better job.
do a better job, I would say it's just to continue to be aware of the world around it. And I think it has been doing that. And the change doesn't happen very quickly. But certainly, the media from 50 years ago, a lot of it wouldn't work today. but some would work even better. I mean, Edward R. Murrow, was a brave man back in the 50s, and it's almost like we're missing some of that. So there's some things that we haven't seen that we used to see more of. How could it do a better job? Is to not play for the fear factor crowds. The people that want to be engaged by what they visually take in from the media. Well, that's a double-edged sword. Yeah, maybe more entertaining, but you probably schlocked it up a little bit, just to make it entertaining. And that's what you see a lot of, is they're like, well, this is okay, but wouldn't it be better if we did this? And that's what you see a lot of what's happening with the media, is that instead of presenting something, it seems like they want to have a presentation.
You made specific comparison of media 50 years ago to now. So what would be some of the positive features of the media 50 years ago and some of the negative features of the media 50 years ago that may have changed?
Well, negative, there just seemed to be at times an agreement not to examine all facets of someone's life, and to have these hidden agreements, oh, we don't want to share someone's affairs,
You count that as a negative?
I would say that was a negative, because they were picking and choosing what was fair game, and I don't think that's for them to decide. I would say, you have to report what is news, and granted, some of it is tawdry, but it's a tough call.
In the recent history, the examination of Clinton's escapades versus ignoring the Roosevelts.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Kennedy's, Yeah, so it is fair game to a certain extent. I can see that I'm almost feeling discomfort in my own opinion on this, but I don't like when the media says, well, here's what we want you to hear, and here's what we don't want you to hear. I don't like that. If I hear something, geez, I'm not going to pursue listening to these sorts of things anymore, then that'll be my option to turn off the TV, or my option to not listen to it. But even with the affairs, why is it that Henry Hyde has an affair in his 40s and calls it indiscretions of a young man when he's in his 40s? Because it was 40 years ago and he's in his 80s. So he can say it's no big deal. It was 40 years ago. But I don't know. Everything just seems to be played with from every political angle. There is no consistency in the presentation of anything when it comes to ethics, and I can understand that. It's a big subjective world.
So is the media consistent now in terms of?
No,
Okay.
There's no consistency at all. One minute you're saying Islamic terrorists, and next minute you just call these other terrorists, but in fact they may be Christian, and they may be pursuing a Christian, maybe for Christian reasons, for the sake of Christianity, that they're doing something, but they never say Christian terrorists. The Ku Klux Klan were the most right-wing, fundamental Christian terrorists, but you never heard that phrase.
So was there a religious motivation with Timothy McVeigh? Is that what you're thinking of now, of a contemporary example?
You could look at Ireland. You would certainly say that there were Christian terrorists in the 80s, possibly, and if you wanted to use the same phrasing, I don't know. I'm just saying we never used it. We just said there were Protestants and Catholics, and we never called, I don't know, we never really called them Christian terrorists or Catholic terrorists or Protestant terrorists. People would just say I don't know. It seemed like it was much easier for people to attach the word terrorist to people of the Muslim faith than it was ever for them to do it to people that were Christians. It seemed odd to me.
Do you use technologies in a creative way, or do you view yourself more as a consumer? And if creative, what examples could you give?
I use technology certainly in a variety of ways. I would say both mainly as a say mainly as a consumer, as someone. When you say consumer, do you mean someone who is using, like, as an end user of a product, or creating new product with the tool?
That's the contrast of like creating new product versus receiving products that others are creating for you. So like reading a newspaper is sort of consuming.
Right. I would say I am mostly a consumer. I mean, occasionally, like I like Wikipedia. I visited it the other day, and I was reading about the small towns around where I grew up, and I noticed they didn't have a link for Gene Stratton Porter when they mentioned that Gene Stratton Porter grew up in Geneva, Indiana. But I knew there was a biography of Gene Stratton Porter on Wikipedia, and so I went in and I edited a link between the two stories, and I felt really good about that. I felt like I was doing a little piece, a tiny, tiny little piece, and I just imagined millions of people visiting and doing that. I felt really positive around that silly little link. Like, I just did enough work to help out, for this brief thing that I looked into. And I think that's neat, as everyone providing input and other people reviewing the input and providing input on the input. And
So you like the Wikipedia model?
oh, I think it's fabulous. I think it's so interesting. I think it's going to exponentially grow past anything of the traditional encyclopedias have, because it's just going to keep getting more and more information, and I find it amazing. I really do, and it's just going to get bigger, faster. And they're just not even realizing yet, I think, how big it's going to get, how much information it will eventually hold.
Could you recommend any other websites?
There's so many. I mean, there's so many interesting things and they change every 6 months. I mean, whatever I tell you now could be old hat, in 6 months. But people making their own videos is interesting. I mean, before there were also podcasts, which would be audio recordings and video recordings. And now it's video recordings like in something like YouTube, or if you go to Google Video. But it'll be something else later, and there are, of course, blogs everywhere. So
it could be one that you've happened upon that maybe people are not aware of, so that you think, oh, I like this resource, or I like this website.
I have to admit, I do like things like just like I said, the videos. I mean, Google Video, for instance, is very clean. It's very easy to use. It's just kind of fun, and yet, to me, it's like, and it's right next to the news, which is funny to me. That this simple entertainment is just one click over from seeing news articles, and maybe that's what I kind of like about it, because I almost see in the news articles, in fact. I think this is what I do like about, if I was going to talk about one particular thing I've noticed lately, and that is Google News. We'll have like 134 links regarding a certain topic. Okay, now some of these links are not your traditional news sources, and I think it's really entertaining to see different takes from different media sources, and you truly get more of a global view. You get more of a, and I can mean global as the Earth, or more global as just different backgrounds of people, global from different cultural backgrounds, or global meaning different economic backgrounds, and that's what you get from all these different media. And some of the media is just web-based, and some is actually print media from different places throughout the world. But I find it really interesting. I like reading 3 different articles on the same topic.
Well, what do you think about the possibility of your face being on the web, like on a video of YouTube or something like that?
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes you're saying things and you're rambling on, and then years later, people misinterpret what you're saying. And I think about that sometimes. Where you're sharing your thoughts, and then suddenly um, you watch it, and there's one little moment where you put some words together, and you thought, oh, that almost sounds like I was saying this, but I wasn't. And then you see sound bites every day now where people take you things out of context, and so yeah, it's funny. I'm comfortable, and yet there's a side of me wondering, will I ever be taken out of context?
So, is that a good closing thought, or would you like to say anything else?
uh, no, yes, will I ever be taken out of context? I think that's a good closing thought right there.
Thank you very much.
Sure.